Welcome back to another episode of Smooth Operator Trucking, where we create the dream 1 mile at a time. Today, I'm going to be attempting to change the turbo wastegate actuator on a 2007 Freightliner Columbia Detroit 60 14 liter. And we're getting started right now. This is not an how-to video, okay? Simply illustrating, my journey as an owner operator and something that you might encounter if you decide to become an owner operator, especially if you're going to run an older truck. But even if you run a newer truck, you do need to be able to try to learn how to do some of the work yourself. It's going to save you some money in the long run. For the last couple of months, I've been having some symptoms of low power, bad fuel mileage, blowing black smoke, the vehicle kind of like choking and sneezing as you're going through the gears. And so, I've been dealing with that. Took it to a Freightliner dealership. The guy said that he believed it was the V-Pod. It wasn't the V-Pod. Replaced the V-Pod, wasn't the V-Pod. Took it to another guy prior to that. He said the hoses on the clamps were leaking and they just needed to, be replaced. Well, that didn't fix the issue. And Freightliner said, well, it probably needs injectors. So, get up the road one day and I start having a massive air leak. So at the end of the night, I pull over to see what's going on and can't find the air leak. But what I have noticed is that since I started having the air leak, the truck stopped blowing black smoke and it stopped, putt-putting and sneezing and coughing. Now, the low power issue was still there, but it just wasn't doing all the black smoke and everything. So finally figured out where the leak was coming from. Got my water bottle and spray bottle, soapy water, started spraying, couldn't find it. And then finally I did find it, and it was coming from the turbo wastegate actuator. This right here is a turbo wastegate actuator, all right? And this right here is the actuator. Or this right here goes up and down as you give more fuel to the turbo or to the engine, to the vehicle. That should go up and down. So if I were to turn the truck on right now and idle it up, this should move. All right. For some reason it does move, but I'm not sure if it's actually moving the correct range. When they had hooked up to the computer, they were showing that it was in the correct parameters, but I don't know. So you see this line right here, that's the V-Pod line. It goes from the actuator and it goes back to the V-Pod, and the V-Pod, I guess, is what controls the actuator, and the actuator controls this right here. All right, and then obviously the turbo. But that's pretty much, as far as my knowledge, how it works. Again, I'm no expert, so don't take my word for it. But so I've got a new actuator. Picked it up at Freightliner yesterday. It was about $400 and some. You probably can find this online for cheaper. I tried to go with the genuine Freightliner parts just because, I'm already not that great at troubleshooting anyways. I don't want any little thing to set me back. I don't want the fact that I got a non-genuine part to be the reason why something doesn't work. So here is the actual actuator right here. Brand new, out the box. Little nuts and bolts and everything. All right, and it actually came with directions, right? Now I've looked up some videos on YouTube on how to do this, so I'm fairly confident that I can do it on my own, and I'm hoping that will fix the problem. If it doesn't, then right now I'm in the Dallas, Texas area, and there's this shop called TAT Express that I've been seeing a lot on YouTube that I feel like they might, be the people to take it to, and hopefully they can do a good job. So I'm hoping that this will be a fairly easy job. I think it will be. And it actually came with instructions. It's very uncommon. I've never seen any parts so far that I bought actually come with instructions. So, I watched a 30-minute video on YouTube on how to do it, like I said, and I'm pretty certain that I can do it myself and I shouldn't have any problems. Now, one thing's about it, and I'll see if it says anything about it in the directions, but I've heard some people say that you have to actually calibrate the actuator when you put it on there. because this has to be at a certain length. All right, and I guess it controls how much boost goes in and out of the turbo or whatever. And so I'm hoping that that's not going to be a problem. I've heard some people say you just match it up to the length that this is, and I've heard some people say you have to actually put it on the computer and calibrate it that way. So we go F around and find out. Then I'm gonna bring you guys along with me. I'll try to record as much as I can. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a time warp or do real time, but wish me luck. All right, let's get to it. All right, right here, I'm loosening the top lock nut. It's loosening, but it's coming loose. It's not enough to really get in there, so I can start loosening by hand, my finger. Huh, I wonder if this might be also the way you calibrate it. Hope I'm not messing up any parameters here. All right, so I've been working on getting this off, but I'm having a hard time, so I'm gonna move on to these three nuts right here. There's one, there's two, and there's three. This one should be pretty easy to do. This one should be medium. It's gonna be really hard to get to that one in the back. I don't have a I guess a bendable, freaking ratchet tool. I might have to go and get one or figure something else out. Watching the video on how to remove this, and this part right here where the guy took it off, he totally had the camera at an angle to where you couldn't see it and didn't really talk you through it. And the instructions that come with it are very vague. Usually if I get frustrated with something, I walk away from it for a few minutes and then come back with a fresh mind and continue to try to solve the problem. I don't think I'm going to be able to get in there at that angle. Actually, Two off, one more to go. All right, that last really tough one is going to be behind the actuator adjuster right here. It's going to be tough to get to. It's going to be super tough to get to. I'm having a super hard time getting this off. So this right here is the pin, right, that's holding the actuator adjuster in place. And there's a pin holder right there. I've tried prying it out with a screwdriver or a flathead. I've tried needle nose pliers. I cannot get that joker out. Probably just don't have the right tool or the right knowledge, but once I get that out, this pin should push through here and then this should come loose. So I'm gonna move on to disconnecting the airline and then come back to that later. All right, right here is the airline fitting. It goes from the actuator to the V-pod. And this is where I'm going to be loosening it up from. Looks like it takes 9/16. All right, that's disconnected. All right, so I've gotten frustrated with this. I'm gonna go to the store, try to find a better needle nose plier, and try to find a adjustable, I guess, or an angle socket that I can get in behind there. And honestly, once I get those two things off, I think that's really it. But man, this part right here is in a mother. All right, sorry I didn't record this part, but basically here's that pin holder that was really hard to get out, and I had to really work with it and get enough in there with some pliers or something and pull it out to get it out, but it really took a lot. So I finally got that out and that was what was giving me a hard time. All right, this pin right here should just push out the other end. I said it should, we'll see. There we go, finally got that loose. All right, so the new kit is gonna come with these two parts. So you don't really have to worry about damaging or losing them too much. All right, see now how that's loose? Now I've just gotta try to get to that back there, which is causing me a really hard time. All right, so that rear nut I was talking about back there, just had to get an adjustable, I'm not sure what it's called, but basically this right here goes in there, an adapter, and this actually moves around so you can get back there in tight spots like that. So it looks like it's coming loose finally, because that was giving me a little bit of a hard time also. All right, finally got all the nuts off. Finally got the old actuator off. This is the old actuator. All right, here's the old actuator. Here's the new actuator. A little nervous because honestly, I mean, I'm not sure when the last time this old actuator was replaced. I'm not sure if it was replaced when I had the turbo replaced back in March. but I don't know. But hopefully this fixes the problem. So got the old one off, and then I have to remove some parts from here, put on the new one, and then we should be good to go. Put it back on. All right, this is interesting. All right, not a problem. Not a problem. All right, remove that. This is off the old piece. It's not going to go back on there. However, I do need to get this off to get to the heat shield. Let's see if my Gerber will do the trick. Hold that there. Oh man. All right, so we are back. Day 2. Hopefully I can get this done today. It took me several hours to remove the turbo wastegate actuator. Just little things. It's not very hard to do, but they're just very little things. It was hard to get to one of the boats, and trying to remove the adjuster caused me some heartache and pain. And you know, that's one of the reasons why we take our vehicles to a mechanic, because we expect that their expertise and experience you know, will work out for us in the long run. But sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes they might not actually have the experience, especially on these older trucks. I know a lot of times when I take my truck to the shop, one of the reasons I got a Detroit 60 was, you know, you always hear people say how easy they are to work on. And yeah, I mean, I guess they're relatively easy to work on compared to a lot of other engines, but a lot of technicians don't know how to work on them, you know, because they're more so used to working on the newer trucks. And when they hook up the computer to it, if the computer doesn't tell it exactly what the truck needs to do, then they're kind of stumped. They don't know what to do as far as like just regular mechanical troubleshooting. So, but it is what it is. So let's get going. All right, sorry about the noise. There was a truck parked next to me. I was kind of away from everything else, and this guy came out of nowhere, and he's running his truck. So it is what it is. It's hot, so I can't blame him. All right, so this is the old one, this is the new one. I'm going to remove the adjustment nuts. Remove the bottom lock nuts. You want to make sure it's oriented in the same direction. Take the old heat shield off this one and put it on the new one. All right, so here is the bottom locking nut. All right, the instructions say lower it 9.5 millimeters. 9.5 millimeters in inches is like 0.375 inches or something like that. I don't know. So I kind of measured it. So hopefully I get it pretty close. And I'm guessing that this probably has something to do with the adjusting, the proper calibration and adjusting also. This right here is the new lowering lock. All right, it says to just, I'm sorry, not lowering lock. This is the new adjuster. All right, and you're just gonna tighten it down until it comes into contact with the lowering locking nut. All right, the instructions say install the new upper lock nut on the new rod end, approximately 16 millimeters. All right, 16 millimeters is about 6/10 of an inch. So it's approximately about halfway up. All right, now you have the actuator rod end and the upper locking nut, and then you're just going to install on the adjuster until the upper locking nut comes into contact with the adjuster. Boom. All right, so now the new wastegate actuator is ready to be installed. I thought I had misplaced these for a second. So generally speaking, whenever I'm taking a bolt off or anything, once I get the part off, I normally put it back on there somewhere, so that way that I don't lose it. Yesterday I probably got a little hot, a little frustrated, and when I finally got this thing off, I forgot to do that. So something my dad taught me a long time ago. You take your bolt off or whatever, once you get the part off, put it back on where it's supposed to go, so that way you know where it goes and you don't lose it. All right, so if you can see in there, right now, this needs to be extended some more so they can line up with this. All right, the way you do that, you back off the lowering locking bolt so that you can move the adjuster, and then hopefully it returns to its neutral position. All right, now that I think I've got the rod to the correct length, you have to adjust these in order to get it there. Plus, one thing I found is I had this still up and I needed to have it down. So that was one of my issues. It was probably already at the correct length from when I did the measurements earlier from as per the instructions. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to put the pin in there, coming from rear to front. So it's hard to tell if I'm not at the correct length or if I don't have enough play. All right, so I finally got this pin in right here. I mean, it was a lot. I keep on adjusting it, moving this down. So clockwise, you have to rotate this bottom nut here, and I guess once you move this clockwise, this incrementally moves up a little bit. So we got that in there. Now the next thing is I have to put the retaining pin in there. So that's going to be tough to do, and hopefully I don't drop it somewhere and lose it. All right, the new actuator is on the truck. I'm going to pick up some of my tools, get it started, and take it for a test drive and see what happens. So I don't hear any leaking. However, I also did not see the actuator actually move. I have to go back and look at this video and see if it did. But whenever I give it some fuel, the actuator is actually supposed to move. And it didn't look like it moved at all. So I'm gonna take it for a test drive and see what happens. Well, I'm not getting any black smoke. Feels like it's running all right, but it's hard to tell. I'm running empty right now. Still getting check engine lights. Still don't have the shifting points. If that power is hot like it's supposed to be, I should be able to shift smoothly with no problem. But I mean, it definitely has more boost than it did before. I'm not sure why the actuator is not moving. I'll do some research. Maybe adjust it myself and play with it a little bit, or take it by a Freightliner and have them calibrated. So. Yeah, I mean, I think she's good enough to get back on the road for now. You know, like I said, there's no blind smoke, there's no black smoke, there's no sneezing and coughing, and there's no air leak like there was before. Like I said, I'm still getting check engine lights, but at least that's one thing that is fixed now, and probably just requires some calibrating, and then we'll figure out what else needs to be. All right, so after the test drive, I feel like the truck is definitely running better. There is no black smoke. I don't have the air leak. Still getting a million inactive check engine codes and a couple of new ones that I wasn't getting before. I'll worry about those later. The actuator still isn't moving up and down. I'm probably going to stop by a Freightliner eventually and maybe have them put it on the computer and calibrate it. But I think the truck is good to go to get down the road and make some more money. So yeah, I mean, truck's not totally fixed, but definitely at least eliminated one of the issues. And I'll try to take care of the other issues, you know, as I can figure out what they are. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe, and maybe even leave a comment. And remember, hard times don't last, hard truckers do. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And last but not least, stay smooth, my friends.